So I'm going to try this out, as always. I don't know how technology is going to work with us right now, but we'll try it out. And if this video gets super heated and the internet starts cutting out, I'll just start over and we'll go back into it. But I wanted to get on, and it's been a while, and man, the wild woman in me got so activated today. I was at Cafe Gratitude, and they have these things called Question of the Day. Hold on, I gotta take my shoes off. They have these things called the Question of the Day at Cafe Gratitude. And so I'm there at Cafe Gratitude, and they ask the question, what do you stand for? And I'm sitting there at breakfast with my friend. We're chatting, talking business, talking life. And I don't let it really seep in, but you know, it's just kind of thrown into the air. What do you stand for? And by the time I was leaving, I was ready to get some chocolate, and at this counter they had this amazing raw homemade chocolate. And this woman, this young girl, you know, she's probably between the ages of 19 and 22, I would guess, is standing there, and she, you know, is ringing me up for this piece of chocolate, and she says, do you want to hear the question of the day? And I say, yes. And she says, what do you stand for? And this time I really felt it, like it had been trickling in for a little bit, you know, like I let it seep in during breakfast. And I'm standing there as she asks, what do you stand for? And it just hits me deep in my body. And I said, I stand for the end of rape in my lifetime. I stand for the end of violence. I stand for the end of sexual men on all people everywhere. I stand for the end of humans hurting other humans from a place of deep spiritual love, and also deep knowing that it will only end when we all band together and stop tolerating it happening to ourselves and stop tolerating it happening in our own communities. And she just kind of stood there. My heart's pounding even now as I say this. And she just stood there, and her eyes filled with tears. And she began to tell me this story about how last night she went out with a guy she's dating right now, you know. She just started dating again. She was in a relationship. They broke up. She started dating again. She went out last night with this guy, and he just kept feeding her drinks. And she asked multiple times to stop ordering her drinks, and that he eventually was taking her home and forced himself on her several times. Not sex, but force kissed her when she didn't want to be kissed, force touched her when she didn't want to be touched. Times that she physically removed his hand from her. And I'm standing there in the middle of Cafe Gratitude, just flabbergasted. This young woman here in Cafe Gratitude in Venice, California. Today is June 21st, 2018, people. And I'm listening to my sister. Another case of just casual encounters with a predator. I want to call forward my brothers, the men. Dear men, I'm sorry for anyone in your life who reinforced that this behavior is okay. It is not okay to force yourself upon anyone, especially a woman, when she is saying no. Never, never, never. I am sorry for anyone in your life who has allowed you to think that that is okay. If your mother somehow reinforced negative behavior, or if some girlfriend at some point broke your heart, whatever the storyline is, please, sister to brother, hear me out. Ask permission. Before you touch a woman, ask permission. We're taught in this culture that it's romantic to take a woman by surprise. And women will even want it because we've all been programmed to not respect each other's bodies. And women have been programmed not to respect their own bodies. I don't want to blame men here, but this is a predator-victim dance. And I know the victim side very well. How to lure and how to blame. So it's not men that I'm blaming. I just want to acknowledge that there's a role that's more often taken. Not always, not everywhere, not all the time. I want to be very clear with that too. But statistically, most of the time, the predator is being embodied by a man and the victim is being embodied by a woman. So I'm just going to use this as our example as we explore this theme now. I want to repeat that this is all shared in love. This is shared in a holy fury. My dear friend, Blue, who is embodied in a caricature in this lifetime named Charlotte, came to me and looked to me in the eye, sister to sister, and said, you have a holy fury, and I honor you and I respect you. And she gifted me these double dragons. And so this talk, this conversation comes from a place of love, of deep holy fury, of knowing that we can do better, of knowing that there's another way, that this dance doesn't have to look like the way that it's been looking. So I'm standing there in Cafe Gratitude with this young woman in front of me, and I just drop my bags and embrace her. Literally, I pick her up from underneath her armpits and just pull her body into me, and I just hold her, and she takes a deep sigh. And I just tell her, I am so sorry this happened to you, and I'm going to do everything on how we can end this behavior. It's amazing to be waking up to my life's mission as I'm watching these horrible things happen in front of my face, and that where spirituality has taken me is back into the planet. It's so fascinating to be going deeper, deeper into my soul, into my own work and my shadow. And every time I go into a deeper place, it has me come back out with this desire to share how we can recreate heaven on earth again in this paradigm. And this culture of the predator and victim, this is where the ego lives, you know? And this is something actually that when I was studying quantum physics and string theory at the United Nations University for Peace in Costa Rica with Victoria Fontan, who I absolutely love, shout out to you, who wrote an amazing book called Decolonizing Peace around how the exportation of what peace is has actually been what's created more of the war in the world. Anyways, I digress. She and I were talking about string theory and this point of divergent fields and how important it is to really diversify what it is that we are creating. Because in nature, diversity is what wins, allowing ourselves to become more diverse. And so I want to become really diverse. I have no idea. I'm not here to preach or to say, hey, these are the enemies, this is how we go get them, and this is what we do. I don't know. I actually am coming to you with a question. Brothers, sisters, et al., however you want to identify yourself, how do we have the conversation around the predator and victim? And that third piece, the rescuer, right? Because that's actually the Bermuda Triangle of the ego. I'm going to do that again because it's so fun. This goes back to Victoria Fontan. The ego, the victim, the perpetrator. This is actually the Bermuda Triangle of the ego. The rescuer, the victim, the perpetrator. And the ego bounces in these ways, right? And so also coming in, I'm not trying to step into the rescuer role. Let me be very clear. I'll fully admit, I have been both the perpetrator and the victim in my behavior and in my intentions at different points in my life. I've had to clean shit up. I'm still cleaning shit up. This is part of the human experience to play one of these roles. I've also played the rescuer. I mean, I'm a coach. I started in this thing because I wanted to save the world. I went to the United Nations University for Peace, not just because it sounded good, but mostly because it just sounded good. But because I really had a drive in this almost rescuer way. It's like, what can I do? How can I contribute? And taking a step back, it's like, okay, how do I work on this one first? And then what naturally comes forward, right? And what naturally comes forward when I notice this paradigm, what naturally comes forward is like, we've got to end this shit. Myself included, right? I'm not coming at it as though I'm the one who has the answers. I'm not the one who's the savior of this scenario. I'm here to ask some really good questions, and so are you. Because if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you can resonate with it in your heart. You know you're part of the solution. You know you're part of the resolution. You know you're part of a different way. You know you're not part of this old paradigm. You know you don't want to play perpetrator, victim, rescuer. You know you don't want to play that game, right? The rescuer. One who constantly loans money to his friends and wonders why he's poor or no one wants to hang out with him. That's the rescuer role model, the rescuer archetype. And just being able to step into a place of how do we have a conversation about this in a deeper way, right? What is the resolution? And one thing that my beloved Bearheart and I have talked about many times is that the resolution generations, 3 generations of no violence, me not pushing violence upon my children and me healing the violence from my parents behind me. That's 3 generations. We in this lifetime can heal this. We can heal this in this lifetime in such a way that it doesn't continue to repeat in the human evolution. We can end violence in this lifetime. I'm going to say it again because there's all these ideas, like especially with ISIS over here and North Korea. It's like, yes, this is all it. Every scenario is a play of the Bermuda Triangle of the ego. Perpetrator, victim, rescuer, watch it. In every war is an external manifestation of egos gone wild. If we step back and said that whole model does not work, not the rescuer coming to rescue them, not the perpetrator who we think is the actual perpetrator, not the victim who we're pretending to be is all innocent. No, there's a much more dynamic story that we have to know. We have to know the diversity of that story in order to be able to have a conversation about it and really bring peace to earth. Peace to earth comes with shifting the paradigm. Peace to earth comes with shifting the paradigm of perpetrator, victim, and rescuers. So it's really important that we as people stepping into the new paradigm, those of us who are the tribe of light, who are here to bring in the new paradigm, that we are aware of this Bermuda Triangle for our egos as we step into the new paradigm, because we could bring that structure right along with us. And it's really, really important to notice that. Here, as I stand at Cafe Gratitude talking to a young woman who was sexually assaulted by someone here in Venice, California, here on June 21st, 2018. So if we want peace on earth, my brothers and my sisters, it's really right here, right now. It's not in the Middle East. It's not in Washington. It's not in our unconscious families. It's right here in our community. It's in your conversations. It's in the way that you're standing forward for what you stand for. What do you stand for? The whole question that started this shindig. What do you stand for? What's important to you? What calls you forward? And has you stand for something? Speaking to my brothers again, I want to have a conversation with you, all of you, because I'm at a loss about this behavior, this predatory behavior. I don't fully understand it. I don't understand the anger. I don't understand the jealousy. I don't understand the possessiveness. And I want to drop into a place where I can come into a neutral space with this conversation so that I can clear up some of my own role in the victim to this archetype that comes forward from some brothers, not all men, not everywhere all the time, but some. To help me understand, what is the wound? What is the wound that you're feeling behind this aggression? If you as a man have ever been aggressive in your life, if you could tap in for a moment, if you have any level of consciousness, any work that you've done, if you can tap into that aggression and just this moment, take a deep breath and feel, what is it, if you were to pull up that curtain, what is the wound behind the aggression? What is the aggression protecting? What is your anger protecting? Take a nice deep breath and let me know. Let me know in the comments below. And I would also love to hear any brother's journey, any men who've been on the journey who were deep in aggression, maybe even predatorial, and walk themselves home back to their heart so that they could feel and connect with themselves first and then with others. And I would love to hear your story. Again, this is no blame. I want to be super clear. This is from the heart. It's holy fury. It's all about love. And it's all about naming my experience, taking responsibility for my piece in it, and also getting super curious. Okay, and so how do we cure this as an archetype? How do we cure this as a whole structure? So I'm asking for your help, my brothers. And I'm also offering an invitation. The best thing that I know that has helped me when I'm working with my brothers, when I'm working with my students and my clients with this subject, and also the subject of being a warrior in this society where we get so many mixed signals, we've really created a weekend for men specifically to dive into this question around how to be a man, how to be a warrior, how to step forward, how to protect, how to be true to themselves and their soul, and how to be true to their communities and their tribes that are important to them. So I'm going to include that link in the comments above if you're, and we just have a few slots available. We group super small, so that we can all dive in. And when I say we, it's myself, my beloved Bear Heart, and my cousin Anthony, who are going to be facilitating this experience. And Anthony still hasn't 100% confirmed, so I don't want to say that all the way. I'm supposed to talk to him very soon, but we're hoping that we find a way to it's not even find a way. If he says yes, to this, we'll see what happens. So it'll definitely be my beloved Bear Heart and I in a beautiful place that will be an incredible way to drop into this question and be in a living way. And the 4 components of what we'll be working with are nature's teachers. So we're going to be going in, really allowing nature and her rhythm to teach us in a deeper way. The second piece is soul coaching, transformational conversations that bring your soul forward and unlock your shadows. The third piece is community, the community that all the men there will be creating. And then the final piece is plant medicine. We will be sitting with some incredible teacher plants and learning from their deep wisdom. So like I said, I'll include the link in the comments. I don't know if they're above or below, so I'm pointing the comments. And you can check it out if that feels like something you're called to be a part of. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to this question. Thank you for responding to the brothers who are responding, who are going to be responding to the questions. If you're just joining now, please listen about 5 minutes, maybe from the beginning actually, so you can understand the flow of what I just shared. And also my request to the brothers, to the men, to anyone who identifies as a male in this society, in this culture, I would love to hear a response to the question that I posed earlier. Love, love, peace, peace. Wild, baby, just wild.